More than 10 years ago, I was an excellent teacher in a top school in Chengdu. My 70-year-old mother had been living in the countryside all her life in Sichuan province. So I managed to persuade her to come to Chengdu and live with me. I thought she would enjoy the happiness and convenience brought by the prosperous metropolis life, as I have a big house, a nice car, and more time to accompany her. But out of my expectation, after staying with me for only a short time, my mother fell ill. So I took her to the doctor, but it didn't work. My mother then wanted to go back to her hometown. I felt guilty to let her go home alone, so I tried to dissuade her. However, Mother's words woke me up. She said, "Son, I know you're a failure child, but have you ever thought that I've lived in the countryside all my life? Hometown is the only place that would make me happy and comfortable. You just do as I wish." In this way, I sent my mother back home. Aha! To my surprise, I felt very excited to hear that my mother recovered only a few days after she going back. Ever since then, I only need to call my mother every week to ask about her life and health. Now, my mom is nearly 90 years old, still lives in the countryside, happy and healthy. This experience gave me a deep understanding of one of the Chinese traditional virtues, 孝顺, filial piety in English. 孝顺 not only means to be filial, but also means to accept, to obey, or to follow the elders. It touched my mind that the Chinese character 顺, or acceptance, is actually the survival law of nature. No matter its social development, career success, or harmony between people, everything in this world needs to accommodate to nature, the time, and the trend. Otherwise, there will be confrontation. For example, if a mother-in-law doesn't accept her daughter-in-law, there will be conflicts. If a husband doesn't accept his wife, they will soon break up. If the subordinates do not accept the leader, the organization cannot work well. If teachers do not accept the students, good education won't take place. Only when human beings accept the law of nature can there be harmony between man and nature. If we go against the law of nature, like destroying the forest, overmining, disasters may strike frequently. Moreover, I found out that if the 顺, or acceptance thinking, was applied to education, there could be some magical power. Suppose we accept our children as they are unconditionally. Then we can look for great educational opportunities. And in return, it's possible for them to grow and improve in the right direction as we expect. The world-famous hypnotist, Milton Erickson, actually found the magical power of acceptance when he was young. When he was a small boy, sometimes on his farm, horses would run outside. Then, the workers had to take great efforts to pull the horses back. Because the horses were so strong, it usually took several adults to pull one horse together. But little Erickson could manage it all by himself. He found that the horse was so rebellious that when people pulled the horse westward, the horse would try to run eastward. So why not follow its well and pull it eastward so it would go automatically east? Sure enough, when little Erickson tried to pull the horse in the opposite direction to the stable, the horse tried to retreat to the stable instead. So it only took very little effort to get it back to the stable. That's Erickson's treatment style as a psychotherapist. He never confronts the patients or attacks their way of thinking. He only used the way of acceptance and make the patients find their own way in the expected direction. Many adolescents have difficulties communicating with their parents and teachers, especially some high school teenagers. It turns out that parents and teachers always use the traditional, strict discipline or repressive thinking to force the children to accept their ideas. As a matter of fact, more than 30 years of teaching experience makes me really understand that children do not really rebel against their parents, but they get rebellious when parents stick to their stereotype notion of right and wrong and show disrespect for their freedom of choice and ideas. Once parents and teachers put away their own mindset and accept the children as they are unconditionally and get to know what they're thinking and their true feelings and desires, the dialogue between them will be much smoother. Once, a mother brought her high school daughter, Katie, to me for a consultation. The girl was very pretty, but was influenced by many TV idol drama series that she didn't want to study any longer, but to look for a handsome and rich Prince Charming to marry. She was so obsessed in this fantasy and was unable to get out that all her relatives called her crazy. After learning about this story, I talked to Katie. Hey, Katie, I'm very supportive of your idea. You are one of the most beautiful girls in our school. You definitely deserve a rich and handsome Prince Charming in the future. The girl was very happy to hear this. Really, headmaster, do you think so? I said, yes. I want to share with you an old story. Once, I had a female classmate who had the similar beautiful appearance and idea as you're having now. You know what? She ended up marrying a very handsome millionaire. The girl got very excited. Really? How's she doing now? I said, in the first few years, she was very happy because she was very beautiful, and the newlyweds were a good match. They always attracted a lot of admiring glances when they went out. But later, I stumbled deliberately. What happened to them? Katie hastened to ask. I continued. Later, my classmate had 2 babies, but she stopped learning and stopped growing. When her husband talked to her about literature, she showed no interest. When he wanted to discuss with her about the latest technology, she showed no interest. When he wanted to get her opinion about company management, she just showed a black face. Over time, apart from the 2 topics of children and fashion, there was nothing more to talk about between them. So, I paused. So, what happened? Katie looked more worried. So, her husband felt there was no spiritual communication between them. and he didn't want to stay with her any longer. Then he met a good-looking woman with abundant knowledge and interesting life experiences. Unfortunately, in the end, they divorced. Katie was silent for a few minutes, and then she said, "Headmaster, I think I got it." What was magic to all of us was that after going back, Katie immersed herself in her academic study. Her mother asked me why. She didn't hear me talking about the harm of her crazy idea of dropping out and marrying a rich and handsome man at such a young age. But the problem was solved. I smiled and simply said, "Just try it and think, communicate in a different way." I totally accepted her at first, and she found the answer all by herself. That's the magic of acceptance. From the bottom of their hearts, children actually want to be understood and respected from teachers and parents. If there is no total acceptance at the very first beginning, how can we expect our children to be empathized, to follow our constructive guidance, and to figure out their own way of fixing themselves and making improvements? You may wonder how we can use the strategy of acceptance in practice. Well, I have 3 steps to communicate with children. The first step is to accept. Right, accept. To let the child feel that you're his ally, not his enemy. Only in this way can an in-depth talk go on and the next steps continue. Last year, a senior high boy, Michael, was brought to my office by his class teacher. The problem with the boy was that he refused to wear the school uniform, but clothes with holes of different sizes, which looked very cool in his eyes. I told the boy, "Your clothes looked so cool, and I totally agree that you should keep wearing them." The boy was astonished because he had expected that he would be severely scolded. But instead, he was accepted by the headmaster. He felt being understood by someone eventually, very relieved and grateful. Now the second step. The second step is to share. Talk about the same experience you have or you know. Take the case of Michael, for example. I shared with Michael my story. When I was in college, I was a very fancy and cool boy too. In one term, I dyed my hair gray and wore strange clothes with different patterns of painting. Michael was surprised and hilarious that the headmaster did the same as he did. He asked, "Why you did that?" "Oh, I thought I would look much cooler and more handsome." I told him, "Did the school allow you to do that?" I said, "I was in college, and there was no rule to stop me from wearing what I like." "Did you wear that all through college?" He was more curious. "No," I said. "Why did you give up?" I was refused when I was interviewed for my dream jobs because my hairstyle and what I was wearing. I told Michael. I realized I wasn't handsome at all, and I couldn't get my dream jobs if I didn't make any change. "I got it, headmaster," he said. I knew Michael was pondering and he had learned something. Now step 3. Step 3 is to plan. We can plan a situation in which children's motivation to improve can be generated. After talking with Michael, I secretly told Lily, a girl who was very influential in his class, that she should find an opportunity to tell Michael that he looked much more handsome wearing the school uniform rather than the strange clothes. Lily did this very skillfully and successfully. Michael stopped wearing the strange clothes, and he started wearing the school uniform, more focused on his study and became more confident. With 30 years of experience in education and making friends of several hundred of students, I have found the magical power of acceptance. By accepting our children and empathizing with them unconditionally, I have helped many youngsters to grow up in a better way, build up a closer connection with their parents and teachers. I hope more teachers and parents can use the strategy of acceptance to avoid conflicts in communication with their children, especially children of the younger generation who are more independent in thinking, who want more freedom and respect, so that they will have better growth, more happiness, and greater success. Thank you.